Hey lambs, guess who's back? Back again. Yes, I took this Sunday off. Last week was a really hard week in terms of cases. And I really tried to get the Sunday episode together, and I think my mind said, nope. So I didn't fight it, and I was just like, all right, well, just not going to do that. I did get an episode together, but I guess I'll edit it and put it out for next week. You know, sometimes doing true crime, you just need that mental break. Well, me personally, I can't speak for everybody else, but me personally, sometimes my brain is just like, absolutely not. We're not doing this anymore. We're not reading any true crime today. We're just not. And that's just literally what happened. So I am back for your Tuesday true crime. It is late. Yes, it is. And that is because of the same reason. However, I'm back on schedule. So this week we're back on schedule after this episode came out late. In today's episode, I'm talking about a man who he actually tried to get away with murder by watching true crime shows. But first, I want to remind you that this episode and all my episodes, as usual, are sponsored by my lambs in Patreon, patreon.com/loveandmurder. So let's get into this True Crime Tuesday. On April 23rd, 2018, a woman walking her dog discovered a head and a naked torso that was lying face down and covered in leaves about 15 feet away from the footpath in a wooded area in Canarsie Park. The face was that of a woman's and was bruised and swollen. It was 26-year-old Brandy Odom, and this Canarsie Park is in Brooklyn, New York. Her torso was found first, and then her limbs were found the next day in plastic bags. Brandy's body was identified by a tattoo that she had, which was a very distinctive tattoo with the word chocolate on it. Immediately, police began the investigation, and they believed that Brandy had been killed and dismembered somewhere else and then dumped in the park. Her mother, Nicole, said she had no idea that her daughter was even missing or in trouble until that Tuesday, when the family saw a news report talking about an unidentified body with a distinctive tattoo. Quote, I said, I'm going to the precinct to make sure that that's not my kid. I don't know who could possibly want to hurt her the way they hurt her, because this was brutal what they did to my kid. I'm still in a state of shock. I'm still not really believing that I just went and ID'd my daughter today. Authorities said that Brandy had died by, quote, homicidal asphyxiation. And they also said that death by asphyxiation can happen in different ways, including suffocation, strangulation. They didn't know exactly which way she was killed. Nicole said that her daughter was living in Queens, but would often visit family members who lived near that park. She also said that her daughter, quote, liked to be her own boss and had moved out when she was 18 to start pursuing various job training certificates. At the time of the investigation, a $2,500 reward was being offered for information on the case. During the investigation, police turned their attention to 36-year-old Cory Martin and Adelle Anderson after a cadaver dog had picked up Brandy's scent in one of their cars. Quote, when I woke up this morning, I saw the police tape and I was like, what happened? It's a really quiet neighborhood, said one of the neighbors, Daniel Bryan. The fact that you see 4 squad cars parked up in your neighborhood, it's lead for alarming. You would never think a neighborhood like this would have any type of violence, said another neighbor, Naila Simon. Continuing the investigation, it was also found that Cory and Adelle had tried to get 2 life insurance policies in Brandy's name the year before Cory had strangled Brandy. The 2 were arrested on wire fraud and aggravated identity theft in November of 2020. Cory was convicted of murder for hire conspiracy, wire fraud conspiracy, aggravated identity theft, and fraudulent use of identification. Police surmised that Cory tried to obtain 2 life insurance policies in Brandy's name and then killed her to cash in on those benefits. Because remember, he tried to cash in on those benefits before she was dead. And then after she died, I guess they figured it didn't work while she was alive. So then they killed her and then tried to cash in on the benefits again. So this was taken to trial in March of 2020, and through the day and a half of testimony, Brandy's mom took the stand saying that she had tried to save Brandy when she first learned about the sex work which we'll get into, by having her move into her daughter's apartment in Brooklyn, but that Adelle had lived in the same building and then the two became friends. Cory's defense lawyer pinned the entire thing on Adelle, saying that she killed Brandy out of jealousy because Brandy was sleeping with Cory. Adelle also took a plea deal and took the stand and testified against Cory, saying that he was both hers and Brandy's pimp. Defense lawyer Anthony Cicutti, I think that's how you say that, told the jury that Adelle had lied about Cory beating and raping her, trying to win the jury's sympathy. And Adelle said, quote, "I always lied about the abuse because I was trying to protect Cory because I loved him." U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Breon Peace, said, quote, "Martin saw the victim as a moneymaker, trafficking her for commercial sex, then after killing her with his bare hands, tossing out her slaughtered body parts like trash so that he can profit from her death." After all of that, Adelle went on and told the court exactly what happened. Well, in her words. She said that Cory had watched crime shows to learn how to commit the crime and try and cover it up without being caught. She said she also joined Cory in watching true crime shows like The First 48, so quote unquote, I'm using that term learn really loosely, what they should and shouldn't be doing during the crime, quote, to avoid being caught by the police. After they watched the shows, they would then, quote, discuss what not to do and what things to do to avoid being caught by the police. As you know, in our show, we always advise you to watch true crime episodes, I guess. I guess I have to add that to the list, right? Watch true crime episodes, type everything, all your search history into your phone, computer, onto your friend's phone, in a library with cameras. Walk into stores that have cameras everywhere, hold up newspapers saying what day you were there, tell everyone you know and everyone you don't about what you're doing or what you're planning to do. Adelle said that Cory also watched TV shows like Dexter to learn how to, quote, commit the crime when he got rid of Brandy. You watched fictional shows to learn how to, you know what? Never mind. It was also shown in the evidence that Cory searched Home Depot's website. Didn't I say? Do all your searches? Okay. Cory searched Home Depot's website for a, quote, DeWalt 12-amp corded reciprocating saw, which is a, quote, powerful 12-amp motor designed for heavy-duty applications. He also searched YouTube for, quote, how to insert blade for reciprocating saw and how to use a reciprocating saw. So you don't even know how to use the thing, which is used for carpentry, which is something that you could have spent your time doing and learning instead of learning how to use it to dismember a body. If you wanted extra money, you could have just become a carpenter. They make a lot of money. So you could have bought that reciprocating saw, searched how to use it, and learned to become a carpenter. That's what you could have spent your time doing. Not thinking that you're going to get away with a crime by watching Dexter and then cashing in on fraudulent life insurance policies. How did that work out for you? I'm just wondering, how did that work out for you? Adelle said that after Cory killed Brandy, she joined him in going to buy cleaning supplies and a vacuum. She also said that Cory came back home and covered the surface of the bathtub with heavy-duty black garbage bags. And in other reports, I heard that he also covered the entire bathroom in those plastic bags. Then he went about dismembering with the electric saw. Adelle said she accompanied him in disposing of the parts of her body across the parks in Brooklyn over a 2-day period. After that, according to her, under Cory's direction, Adelle tried several times to access the insurance benefits that were under Brandy's name, but she was never successful in doing so. In the days that the body parts were discovered and police started an investigation, Cory searched dozens of times on the internet for news articles about where the investigation was going. On April 10th, he searched for online news reports, including, quote, search area expands after dismembered body found in Canarsie Park in Brooklyn. And also accessed a Twitter post titled, quote, person walking dog discovers remains of woman in Brooklyn Park. On April 11th, he searched YouTube using the term, quote, exclusive interview of mother of girl found in park. Like I said, do all the searches, all of it. You might as well have searched how to kill somebody and dismember them and get away with it. Step by step. Please give me step 1 through 4. Adelle pled guilty to the charges in connection with the murder and life insurance scheme offenses. And going on to Cory, Attorney Peace said that his, quote, ghastly and cold-blooded crime was motivated by greed. Brandy Odom suffered an unthinkable death at the defendant's hand. But her life mattered, and I hope that this verdict holding the defendant responsible brings some measure of closure for her family. The verdict was, Cory Martin was found guilty on March 4th, 2024, of murder for hire conspiracy, wire fraud conspiracy, aggravated identity theft, and fraudulent use of identification. He is set to be sentenced in July 2024. I don't understand why these things take so long. I guess maybe the investigation, because this happened in 2018 and he's only being sentenced in 2024. That's crazy. Attorney Peace said that a mandatory life sentence comes with the top charge of murder for hire. Quote, it is fitting that Martin faces a mandatory sentence to spend the rest of his life in prison for this ghastly, cold-blooded crime that was motivated by greed and executed after extensive planning. Brandy's family didn't give Adelle any credit for taking the stand and speaking out against Cory, and said that she should receive the same fate as Cory when she's sentenced in June. Quote, he's monster number 1 and she's monster number 2. You're a mother just like me. How as a mother could you go on in life and do something like this? Having to hear what I listened to during these past 2 weeks of the trial, it's a mother's worst nightmare. So I'm glad that they came up with a verdict that they did to make sure it didn't happen to nobody else's child. The defendant don't have to look at me or my family, but he has to look at the 4 walls in a jail. I waited 6 years. That's one monster that's off the streets right now, because that's what he is right now. He's a monster. And that is the case of Cory Martin and Adelle Anderson and how they tried to get away with murder by listening to true crime shows. I mean, there's literally a show called How to Get Away with Murder. I mean, that's what you should have watched, I guess, right? If you're watching true crime, it literally says it in the title, How to Get Away with Murder. Maybe if you had watched that, I don't know. But like I said, instead of watching true crime shows to figure out how to get away with murder, maybe you should have watched some carpentry shows to find out a different way to make money. Just saying. So what did y'all think about this episode? And if you reached this far in listening to the episode, then don't forget to go ahead and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to so you don't miss any more true crime episodes. I would love to see you as a subscriber. Off the bat, I cannot think of a poll question that I'm going to put out. I can't think of anything because this was like the dumbest case. Like, I don't want to say ever because I'm pretty sure I've recorded some dumb ones, but I just can't remember it. But these people, Cory and Adelle, they were one of the dumbest people that I've ever done a case on. Just like, and I can't, because of the stupidity, I cannot even think of a poll question. But I'm going to think of one. The poll questions are usually on Spotify, so if you want to answer whatever poll I put out, go to Spotify. If you have any comments on this episode, just go ahead and put it in the show notes below. I would love to hear from you. And you could usually also find the question in our Love and Murder After Hour podcast Facebook group, which the link for that is in the show notes below. And speaking of comments and polls, in the last True Crime Tuesday, which was those teenagers who killed that teacher over their grade in Spanish class, I asked you if you think the young man's sentence was sufficient, and 100% of y'all said it was not sufficient. And Christina Bobo said that there was so much wrong with this case, your outrage was completely understandable and justified. I don't know if they should ever let Jeremy out. He calculated the murder of his Spanish teacher over grades and bragged about it on Snapchat. His lack of remorse and sense of justification gave me serial killer vibes. I agree. I completely agree. She goes on to saying, his pop shrugging her murder off and chalking it up to problems at home is given that the kid never had to take accountability for anything. His dad and sister were enablers. This is why he was so comfortable confiding in his sister during the recorded phone calls. He's probably still in prison victim blaming because if only she, or maybe thinking it's his mom's fault because if only his mom, we all know those types of blame everyone else but never look in the mirror. Willard might have a chance. I think he was just a follower, but still old enough to know better. 25 years at least before he paroles. Also, the children are a reflection of their mother. She must have been an incredible woman because they didn't hesitate to forgive and seemed understanding and showed compassion toward the killers. I don't know if that would be me. I admire them for that. I'm telling you right now, it wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be me. And my mom is more forgiving than me. So I'm kind of a reflection of my mom in certain instances, but in this instant, absolutely not. And actually thinking about it, I don't think my mom would forgive anybody if they did anything to her mom. So yes, I'm a reflection of my mom. She goes on to say, no teacher or anyone for that matter should be fearful of doing their job. I think we need to also stop making excuses for children who commit major crimes, quote, just because they're kids. When they're old enough to know better, past a certain age, people are who they are. Luckily, the judge saw this and didn't go light, because if it wasn't this, it could have been something else and would have been something else had they gotten slaps on the wrist. Sorry for the long post, but this was a lot to take in. Christina, look, it was a long episode because it was a lot to take in. I couldn't believe what I was reading during my research. And also, I agree. If the judge had looked past it and given them a slap on the wrist, I do believe at least Jeremy would have done something worse. So thank you so much for your comment. I'd also told you for pictures of that case, go ahead and follow me on Instagram at Love Murder Podcast. And to watch videos from that case, go to my website, murderandlove.com. That's love and murder backwards, murderandlove.com. And I actually have videos of the trial, of the verdict, and everything like that on there for that episode. So that's all I have for you today. Sorry, I can't think of a poll question, but I am going to put one out. And we're back on our regular schedule. My mind, literally from last week's craziness, my mind just refused to work anymore. I think I just emotionally shut down, and I needed to reset to continue forward with true crime. So I apologize. No episode went out on Sunday, and I apologize this one is late, but we're back to our regularly scheduled program. And also, I can't promise you this won't happen again, because these things really affect me like a lot. So there might be times where my brain says, look, you need a break, and that's what's going to happen. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for being a lamb, and I will see you in the next rant. Bye.